Hey, been a bit off track, life's been kicking my butt, but let's get back on track with a couple of quick ones, shall we? First, let's check in on Sisyphus. Our boy Snappi and his Ninjas in Pajamas roster have surfaced again for us at Cologne after the replacement of CjDoesCs with Kaspersky. And the international mix was one that I was already fairly excited for at the beginning of the year, with the just general setup of the team, Wrinkle being a potential young star opper, Shush being very overqualified in his anchor roles, and Snappi being an IGL that I have faith in for having a good fundamental system that can get the most out of pretty much every piece that he has. His track record speaks for itself. We don't really talk about that time in Falcons as they chewed through many players, but honestly, they had a pretty good showing, and despite falling just barely short of making the next step, I think that they, in all intents and purposes, should have in reality, but we'll get to that in a moment. Now, seemingly, this new iteration of NIP, they want to make Nuke and Train their home maps, more particularly Nuke, but this is early days, whatever, sample sizes are small. Looking at who they've played since they've come together, they've put down the Heroic team twice, and Heroic has some good pieces in it like Tanir, but this is also Heroic after the loss of Saw and Sun Pius, as well as the benching of xFlout and bringing on Grix and Nilo, and it's not the same team as last year. It's not the scrappy underdog Heroic that we all knew. They're still decent, but it's not that same team, so saying that they beat Heroic doesn't really have that same weight in my eyes. It's ironic that half their team went to G2, but either way, they may not have shown the same level of competitiveness as previous iterations of the roster, but it's still a decent team to test their mettle, and they would end up going to play against Na'Vi, who have the Makaze edition, finally getting to see that in action, who would go on to make it into the playoffs as well with this win over NIP, but it's still a very, very respectable showing. They beat them map 1 on Nuke, got blown out on the second map, but then in reality really should probably have won Train with how things were trending, the way that the game looked, and they had just overall standout performances across the board with a absolutely lights out laser beam 4K from Kaspersky.
Snappi was going to join them, so they really want to try and pepper this side of the map.
Oh my god. Oh my god, Kaspersky, that's crazy! Oh. Jeez! He's got a laser beam! Oh! That's Kaspersky's round!
So hopefully he will be able to transition from a lone to a full-time member of the team. It was a bit of an underperformance from Wrinkle overall, but as he will stabilize with the new roster, we have Shush putting up 1.1 plus in anchor roles, giving them plenty to lean on. And if Kaspersky can continue to put out these crazy numbers as their aggressive rifler, this team I think has a very high ceiling, and we could see them actually make a playoff later within the year. It's very similar thoughts to how I thought they were when they first came together, just with the replacement of CjDoesCs. You jerks can stick around, why not? We probably won't be seeing this NIP team for a while, actually. They, looking VRS-wise, they're going to be at a few qualifiers for, Yala and similar tier events, but they're still just on the cutting edge, just on that outside edge of the VRS of being at all of our main events. But this is a healthy step forward for this team, and a healthy step forward for this Snappi-led team as he continues to push yet another organization from zero to mainstays through open qualifiers, even as the tides change. It was great to see him calling again on against some bigger teams. And I'll also say that it's pretty funny that NIP might actually be able to make their 2025 deadline that they jokingly talked about before, about returning to being a top team, and that Shush is absolutely on his, his Mezzi arc right now. He's on a team that he's a bit overqualified for, to say the least. And if we saw him get picked up to go to a top tier team, it would not surprise me in the slightest, because he's just outputting like crazy in difficult roles. And I think that we should see him go somewhere. But other than that, next we're going to talk about G2, and I'll see you then. I have been CJ. Have a great day.
Looking the wrong way, Makaze making loud steps. Double swing! This is collateral! He actually puts an Alexi onto 14, but it doesn't seem to matter. In there, walking through the smoke, a free frag for Kaspersky. Oh, didn't finish off the job despite that low HP. Pushing through the smoke, the end for Shush. And it seems like it could be the end for us. Wonderful hits his shot necessary. Kaspersky to clutch as he got it in him. Bit versus Kaspersky. The two top fraggers head to head to try and extend the play, and it's beautiful. Fakes him out on the ladder. Bit face to palm. He can't believe he's lost it.
Yeah, well, didn't